There's an extremely crude, antiquated, and largely discredited view of management that takes the position that, from a perspective of motivating people, it's very straightforward. We pay people to do a job, therefore they have to get on with it. I'm their boss, I tell them what to do, they have to listen and follow instructions. And anybody who's not able to do their job properly or listen and properly follow instructions, well, we just get rid of them and get some other people who are capable of doing it. Now, hopefully we don't encounter anything remotely like this in our daily work lives, but I do have a suspicion that from time to time this type of attitude does have a danger of bubbling up from underneath the surface and just infecting things in quite a negative way. Now, anyone who's ever worked in a volunteer organization knows that things are quite different. For starts, we're not paying these people. And furthermore, although you may be the leader or the coordinator, they don't have to listen to you. They don't have to turn up for work at all. Their gift is a gift of time and effort. And if we're going to make good use of those gifts and make sure that the people are kept on board, they're properly motivated, informed, directed, their time is not wasted, and most of all, they get a really deep sense of purpose and fulfillment out of their work associated with the organization, then we have to be looking at things in a much more sophisticated view. And I would argue that these kind of techniques and perspectives are totally applicable to the business world. So we'll go through this in a little bit more detail in different sections. Thanks for listening. In a volunteer organization, when someone is gifting their time, it behooves us to make sure that we don't waste it. There's nothing more frustrating, for instance, than being a volunteer and taking out your weekend or evening or what have you, and going along to a meeting which is ill-prepared, drags on, talks around in circles, and in the end doesn't really seem to come up with much in the way of action. There's a lot of talk, but not much ever really seems to get done or happen. So in terms of meeting plan and preparation, it's really critical that we make sure that we've got a agenda shared up front, that there's a purpose to the meeting, that there's follow-up that comes after, and that people are thanked for their time, and that meeting is really only allocated a time slot if there's going to be a payoff, a purpose for it. And we don't want people just to turn up not to have any benefit from it, because they'll be quite frustrated and they won't be coming back to any more meetings. And there is a bit of a social element to it as well. These things need to be, as well as purposeful, somewhat enjoyable. So, maybe you have a bit of a meal or drinks, or have some type of social interaction or engagement that's a part of it, at the end, just as a bit of a wrap up that, helps to make the team coalesce and work well together. And, I'd argue that, many of these traits are applicable whether you're in the volunteer or in the paid industry sector. Whether you're in the corporate or the volunteer sector, a simple thank you, a note of thanks, or a word on the side goes a long way. I mean, let's face it, there are people who are spending quite a lot of time and effort to make sure that things happen, to make it easy for the people around them, and make sure that things go smoothly. And, these people often sort of beaver away in the background and go somewhat unnoticed by the people who really benefit from their work. So, by all means, show them that you appreciate them, highlight their efforts, share that with other people, make sure that people know who's responsible for things happening on time. I mean, years ago, just complete opposite happened to me, and it was so soul-destroying. There was a number of volunteers who, we all traveled up to London, which was a good few hours, to go to this event because we were told that stewards were desperately needed. So upon arrival, we were, simply told, oh, actually, yeah, we got plenty of people. Don't really need you. Yeah, that's okay. You're free to go. And it was about the most horrible way that you could treat a volunteer. And, lo and behold, it's not surprising that people don't stick around with organizations like that sometimes. So, just having a really polite, considered thank you. It's not just good manners, it's good business. It goes a long way. Growth, learning, sense of achievement, and accomplishment are all hugely strong motivators and can be fairly readily put in place. If you're working with either a volunteer or a corporate sector organization, there should be plenty of opportunities for training for people to grow and expand their skill sets, to be mentored, to see that there could be potential future opportunities for them within the organization. All of these things will help build a sense of personal growth and development and purpose that are not only good for that person, but also for the organization, because both will benefit. So having a decent training program or training elements to everything that is done is always really useful, and new skill sets or opportunities to take on board new skill sets, again, can be a really huge bonus for people. People really like to feel that they can belong somewhere, so having a open and a welcoming environment that really values everyone's contribution and giving opportunities for people to work together, not only as individuals but within a team as well, and true teamwork to make things happen. Difficult goals and challenges that really make people stretch, things that you can't do by yourself, that you need to rely on your colleagues and others to get things done. Again, really builds a strong sense of cohesion and not only self-worth but worth of the team, which again is going to be a really strong motivator for retention and purpose going forward. Of course, in a volunteer organization, we're not paying people for their work, but we can recognize it and reward it in other ways. It can actually be really meaningful. So if you have someone who is dedicating their time, why not thank them? Celebrate their achievements, highlight those achievements publicly. There's a real sense of buzz about someone who has, dedicated a fair bit of time or done something quite interesting or spectacular for the benefit of others within an organization, and if they achieve some sort of local or national recognition, that's fantastic. It also stands out as a model to others to show that yes, good work is recognized, it is rewarded. People do look after each other, and it is something that is not taken for granted. And I would argue that all of these things also apply to the business world, where indeed we are paying people and they do get bonuses and financial recognition. Sometimes that other type of recognition is really useful as well. So, incorporating that into your, annual meetings or what have you, or on a monthly basis, or, even just a conversation from time to time to, highlight these types of achievements, is something that really goes a long way to keeping people motivated and on board and on track. Now, for many volunteers, it's the sense of purpose that is a key driver. They want to do something good in the world, and volunteering through an organization is a means towards achieving that. So if we cross over and look at a corporate environment, obviously we are paying people. Nevertheless, there is a sense of purpose that companies can have. Most larger corporations do get involved with good works. They support charities. They do good things. And even ones that don't remotely get involved in charitable work within their communities or supporting global initiatives that are useful to the world at large, they are providing employment. They are providing opportunities, jobs in a local area, which can be quite crucial. People's livelihoods depend on the success of organizations. So that in its own right is a purpose in and of itself. So anytime that we can create or outline or share a sense of purpose or meaning that a company has, translated all the way throughout the organization, the more the better. And also show people the way that they benefit from the organization's overall success, in terms of, financial stability, future job prospects, and so on. These are all things that can connect their daily work with the overall purpose and goal of the outfit. So in summary, although we are cutting people a monthly paycheck and perhaps bonuses and whatnot, let's also bear in mind that there is a much wider, diverse range of elements and factors that all support and lead to people being, kept on board, feeling motivated, having a sense of achievement, growth, learning, belonging, having their time recognized and not wasted. All of these factors can make sure that we have a much more smoothly and efficiently operating organization, again, whether that's in the paid sector or the volunteer sector.